Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Shar's World, Life Unfiltered. I'm your host, Shar, and you know what it is. This is the space where we keep it real, raw, and absolutely fun. No filters, just vibes. So, we're going to set the scene. So, imagine you've got unlimited food, endless chatter, and then a deep dive into some into cultures and boundaries. Well, that's exactly what happened when I went to hit it up at Bon Pan Asian restaurant up in Merry Hill. I have never ever been there. It was just like a little mini works day because one of our very own, Charlie, is leaving. So we thought we'd do a little meal, just as like the office crew to say goodbye in like the nicest possible way. I don't know how else I could have phrased it. Um, and it was just nice to obviously have that catch up. So it was just meant to be food and fun, but there were layers to this experience, and today we're talking all about it. Before we get into it, hit that follow button, leave a review if you love the vibes, and get involved in the convo. Let's go! So, don't really go to Merry Hill. I don't have a purpose to go to Merry Hill. I'd rather just go to West Brom or Birmingham. But we all tried to pick a location that was like really close for everyone to try and get to. And we all settled on Bon Pan Asian restaurant, which is meant to be a buffet, where it's Chinese, halal, Indian, both English food, and like there was like this little chef there who was able to like cook your food up from fresh when you gave them the ingredients, which was pretty cool. It's something that I didn't have. I just stuck to the Chinese food because Chinese food is my absolute fave. When we walked in there, it gave very luxury. You had like spaces at the back, so when you walked in, you walk into the entrance, and then you've got some tables, and then you go further down, there's some more tables, and you have like the little section for the food for you to have yourself, and then the bar. I got a really nice vibe from there, and it's very clean. I mean, I've been to a fair few like buffets. This was really, really, really clean. We really had to try and find somewhere that was halal, just so that everyone was included. And I'm glad we stumbled upon this little beauty because I will be going back. And it was like 18.99, so we just called it £20. You just eat as much as you want, and I think that's a good value of money, personally. The food that I had, like I said, I only mainly stuck to the Chinese food. So I had egg fried rice, roast pork, yeah, roast pork. I tried their salt and pepper king prawns, which is very different to the salt and pepper king prawns that I tend to eat. I had their noodles. I just had Chinese food. And then for dessert, I had a chocolate cake, and I had an Eton mess, which I've never had before. But I know it's made from like meringues. I don't know if like whipped cream is involved and some strawberries. I managed to get a taste of the meringue and everything else in between, and it was actually really, really nice. I mean, I did overfill my plate when I had like two plates, and that's all I could handle because on the second time round I overfilled it way too much. Like absolutely way too much. But I feel like if I was to go back there again, I would try different foods I've never had before, sort of thing. Yeah, I feel like that's what I'm gonna have to do next time is try something slightly different, something that I wouldn't normally go for. So that is something I will be doing, but I could only handle two plates. Back in my younger days, I think I could have pushed for three, maybe four. But we move, age is upon us, so we move on. I want to know, what's your go-to dish at a buffet? And what is the weirdest thing that you have ever tried? Please drop me a DM or leave it in the comments. I'm dying to know. Who knows? when I go back there, I might try one of your suggestions because I'm just nosy and I'm curious as to what everyone else eats at a buffet. Once I know there's Chinese food at a buffet, that is it. It's game over. That's all I'm going to be eating. So the food was definitely an experience, to say the least, because all I literally stuck to was Chinese food. But the company, that's where things got really interesting. So we're going to talk about catching up with, oh, well, not old colleagues, but still old colleagues. And what that taught me was culture and the boundaries as well. So buckle up because we're going deep. So we were basically, we all work in the same office. Beth works from home, but she used to work in the office with us. And what we do is like we would run the phones to customers. So it's always very hard for us to actually talk to each other in the office, and all of us have different shift patterns. So we're not always on the same shift as everyone, and it can get a little bit lonely. I'm not gonna lie. There's been times when I'm in the office by myself. I'm like, cool. So I brought myself a little puzzle book to do to keep time flying. Um, but it's always nice to reconnect with each other because we do have a WhatsApp group chat and we constantly messaging in there. I try not to message after 12 o'clock because then you're just in that like that hole of yeah, you're not coming out of it. So it's actually nice to sit down and talk to each other because two people used to work in like our department, but they've moved into different departments. Charlie is the one who's leaving, so she's not going to be even in the same building as us. So it was just like a great chance to actually speak and not be like, oh, 1 second, a call's coming through, or rolling the eyes because a call's come through. Do you know what I mean? It's like we haven't. I don't know how to describe it. It's like we haven't seen each other for years, and it's just like we're finally meeting up and we're talking. It's just like this is nice. This is really, really nice. Do you know what I mean? And then I wouldn't say it got deep, but it did get deep where we're learning about other cultures. So two of the people that were with us, Umbrian and Mo, they are Muslims. So we just wanted to know more about their culture, and like Charlie was asking the questions, and I had questions that I was asking as well because it's always interesting to learn another culture. And because Ramadan is coming up in March, we just wanted to know a little bit more because I have in the past actually fasted, and I've done it with them because I want to experience what they experience. And you know what? It's not even that bad. Like once you've gone past the first day, you're actually flying and you feel so. For me personally, I felt really healthy. I felt fully cleansed. I wasn't thinking about food or anything of that nature. I do think I may have got this wrong, so I do apologize in advance. I think you're not allowed to drink like water or anything, but I had to like say like guys, I love my coffee and tea. I'll try my best, but I can't make any guarantee. So can I just still have that? And they said yes, but I felt really cleansed. And when I used to work in my old workplace, which is in retail, I would fast when everyone else was fasting because I want to have that experience. I want to know what it's like, and I want to learn about the culture as well because it's something that obviously I don't do, but it's nice to be part of. And they they're so welcoming that I didn't feel weird on practicing another culture, if that makes sense. And then we learned about like how they hug each other. So like I feel like I'm gonna like really I feel like I'm gonna say this wrong because I can't remember, but it's like it's just one arm, like just one arm, like a one arm hug. So like you would, like, depending on who you are, like you wouldn't just go in for like a full on like bear hug, maybe. I don't know if that's the word to use. So then that's when I asked my question to Umbreen, because I said to her, so when I gave you a hug to welcome you back, I obviously did it this way. Was that the wrong way to do it? And she was like, no, no, it's fine when it comes to like friends and things like that, and because obviously you're just not going to know, because I always want to make sure that I'm not doing anything that's going to offend anyone. I try really hard because like in the office, like Adam, he boycotts like certain brands, so I try not to have those certain brands with me, like Fanta, Coca-Cola. I don't know if Lucasade was part of it, but I try not to bring anything that might cause like offense. I want to try and be as respectful to someone else's culture and religion as I would expect them to be respectful of mine. And it was nice just obviously having those open conversations, and obviously we don't want to offend, which is why we ask those questions. And it can be really awkward, but it all depends on how you phrase those questions. And we always just say, we don't want to overstep the boundaries. We like to know where that line is. So if I say just like, I don't know, if I was to say to Adam, can you get me a bottle of Coke? And he says no, okay, that's fine. But I wouldn't ask him to get me a bottle of Coke anyway, because that's gone against his beliefs, his culture, his religion, and that's a brand that he's like that they're boycotting. So I would never think to do something like that. So it was just good to learn. And then the next segment is about boundaries when it comes to culture, but I've put it in with this one because it was easier to talk about. The next one is still boundary related. However, before we get there, I'm just going to share a funny moment with you all, and I'm going to try and find a picture and put it as part of this video of this podcast. So Beth left, right? And we all said goodbye. We said, please message us. Like, you've got half an hour. So 15 minutes for you to get home, 15 minutes to be in your pajamas uncomfortable. So she's walked to the car and she's put in the group chat a photo. Look at how this person's parked with them eyes, the little, and a laughing emoji. Charlie's gone to show us, and I've gone like this. I'm like, that's my car? And we literally burst out in hysterics. I was like, oh my god, I've been outed out on my parking. I don't even think the parking was that bad. Plus, it was like 7:30. No one's gonna be parking next to me. And it was so embarrassing, but it was so hilarious. Like, I had tears, like we were in stitches, absolutely in stitches. I'm gonna just thinking about it now. I'm gonna have to get the picture because I can't be the only person who parks like this. Bear in mind, I park a lot better at work and other places. Sometimes it's a quick skirt and then look, reverse straight up. But this one was a literal, do you know what I mean? Like a straight parking. It was a little bit to the side, but hey, we moved. It's just thinking about it is actually quite hilarious. Moving on, I would like to know: have you ever had a conversation that totally like shifted your view on something? If you have, drop me a DM and let's talk about it. If there's anything within this pod, like this whole episode, that you feel like you can relate or anything of that nature, leave a comment, pop me a DM on Insta. I really want to know, and it's good to have these conversations because not everyone likes to have those conversations, and that's what I like about having my podcast. I'm not scared to have those type of conversations with you guys. So speaking of learning, something really interesting came up about boundaries. So we always spoke about it culturally, but now we're going to talk about it in friendships and personal life. And let's just be real, boundaries are a whole thing. So let's get into it. So it's really important to have those boundaries put in place, especially with people that you aren't familiar with and that you actually don't know that well. And this conversation came about from another conversation that someone else had, where a particular boundary was crossed. I'm not going to go into it too much because it can be quite triggering and it can be quite upsetting, and I don't want to do that. But a particular boundary was crossed, and we had a discussion about it whilst we was eating our food. And that's how the whole topic of boundaries really came about. I'm not going to share personal information with someone that I don't really know just because of the bound. Yeah, so just on the topic of boundaries, I'm not going to disclose anything that's quite personal to someone that I don't really know that much, and you don't know what that person has gone through. Just why I think boundaries is also really really, really important. Like in our WhatsApp group, I can happily share videos of like my daughter because I know everyone in the group and I know that it's not going to go any further than the group chat. Make sure to family, friends, that's fine. But if I don't really know you, I'm not going to send you anything because I don't know where that's going. I don't know who you guys know. Do you know what I mean? So it's always good to know where your boundaries are. No one has ever really like crossed the boundaries with me because I've always put them in place. I've always been like, if I'm going to send you a photo of my child, please don't post it anywhere else. It's that sort of thing, and it's finding the balance of knowing, even though you're friends, you still need to have that line of like making sure you're just not crossing the boundaries. That's it. There's nothing more that I can say on this topic. I mean, there probably is. I just can't think of anything more that I can say about it without going deeper. But again, it can be quite triggering, and I don't want to do that on this episode. However, I would like to know, because I'm very nosy if you haven't gathered by now. What's one boundary that you've set recently that changed the game for you? Again, leave it in the comments, drop me a message on Instagram. Let's just share some wisdom. So, food, friendship, cultures, and boundaries. Who knew a buffet could serve up so much more than just food? So let's wrap this up with some final thoughts. Remember, try more than just the Chinese food. If you go to a buffet, personal experience, I will be trying something different. It's always good to have those, or not awkward conversations, but conversations that you may not have time to discuss in a group chat or at work, and understanding different cultures, knowing where the boundaries lie, and still having that close knit friendship circle where no topic is off limit, basically. Alright, so that is a wrap on today's episode of Shar's World Life Unfiltered. Who knew a simple buffet trip could lead to such deep combos? But that's what I love, real moments, real talk. I want to hear from you. What's your take on boundaries? Have you ever had a cultural combo that totally shifted your mindset? Hit me up on my socials at Shar's World Life Unfiltered. It's very long, I do apologise. And let's chat. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who'd love the vibes. And hey, go and treat yourself to a buffet sometime. Just don't overfill your plate. Until next time, stay real, stay unfiltered, and stay you. Love ya. Bye.